Hello viewers, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to apply a release update on OEM 13.5. So today's main topic is to learn how to apply release update or RUs or patches on OMS and the agents. So what is a release update in OEM? It's the same as a PSU or patch set update that we apply in a database home, which includes security and bug fixes, so we can use the word RU or PSU interchangeably. All the commands and the steps I am demonstrating here will be available in a shared document in my Google Drive, and you can download it if you want. Please also note that to download the patches from Oracle, you must have a valid customer support identifier or CSI from Oracle support and credentials to log in, which you usually get from your company or the employer. So in this tutorial, I will demonstrate each and every step of the process, starting with how to search for the latest release update available for OEM, how to download it, going through the prerequisite checks and apply it successfully. It is very important to meet all the prerequisites of the RU and follow all the steps as recommended, as otherwise there will be failure which can result in breakdown of the monitoring system. So let's start. We will log into our OEM system using sysman user, and then we will check what is the release update applied so far. To do that, we will go to this sysman menu item, and under that about enterprise manager, and in this splash screen we can see that the version is mentioned as 13.5.0.0. So this last 0 in the version number says that our enterprise manager is still in the base release and there has been no release updates applied so far. Let's close it. In terms of security and bug fixes, this is obviously not a good practice to stay in the base release. Now to check what is the latest release update available for us to be applied in our OEM 13.5 system, we will log in to my Oracle support and search for the available release updates. Using my credentials, I am logging into my Oracle support, and in this search box, I'm searching for this particular string, Enterprise Manager 13.5 main release update list. Press enter, and it will give a list of items, and then we will go to this third item, Enterprise Manager Cloud Control Cloud Plugin 13.5 Release Update RU Bug List, and click on that. And then at the top of this page, under the bug fix list, we will have the patches to download for this release update. So the top line in this list shows us what is the latest release update available, and it says it's 13.5.0.15. So the release update 15 is the latest RU or release update available for us in today's date. Each of the release updates has two main patches, one for the OMS side and the other for the agent side. And here in RU15, we have the patch number 35262140, that is the OMS side patch, and the patch number 35262133 is the agent side patch. Please note that we must be able to apply both the patches successfully, that is the OMS side and the agent side patches, to complete the release update. So we will download these two patches. First, click on this first part. This will open a new tab in the browser, and the tab opened, the first line shows the patch to be downloaded. Click on the link on the patch number, and it gives us the download option here. In the next page, we can see that the platform selected is the generic platform, and the enterprise manager version for this patch is 13.5. And now if we click on this download button, another window will open, and there we can see this link for the zip file to be downloaded as this patch. So click on that, and that will open another tab or window. Don't worry if the page says that it's not working, because the browser is actually downloading the patch in the background. And now we will close this tab when the patch is getting downloaded, And similarly, we will close all these tabs and go back to the initial tab where the list was shown for the patches to be downloaded. And then we will download the second or the agent side patch for the RU15. So click on that and it will also open another tab, and here we can see a list of bug fixes which are included in this agent side patch. And now if we click on this download button, it will open another window where we can see the link to the zip file for the agent side patch. And the browser will start downloading the agent side patch in the background. We can see the progress of the download of both these patches. As I have already downloaded both these patches, I will simply cancel this and close these windows. So I have downloaded and kept these patches in a local folder. The top one is the OMS side patch with size around 1.1 gigs. The second one is the agent side patch with size around 145 MB. And the third one, a patch that I downloaded to upgrade an utility called OMS Patcher. And we'll talk about OMS Patcher shortly. You don't worry about that as of now. And now I will walk you through a list of activities that I put in a spreadsheet in an order in which we will first check the prerequisites of applying the release update, then we'll actually apply the release update, and then we will validate. First, in the prerequisites section, step number 1, download the OMS and the agent side RU patches to your local machine, and that has been already completed. Step number 2, transfer the patch to the OEM server. So I have already transferred the zip files that we downloaded to the /temp file system of the OEM host. You can use any FTP or SFTP client like FileZilla or WinSCP, etc. to transfer the zip files from your local machine to the OEM server or the OMS host. Just to validate, I logged in to the OEM server using Oracle user, and these 3 are the zip files marked in red for the 3 patches that I transferred to the /temp location in the server. Step number 3, open the readme.html file that is supplied with the patch. This is very important so we don't miss any prerequisites or recommendations from Oracle support to successfully apply the release update. To go through the readme.html, we will go to the folder where we downloaded the zip files in our local machine. We will select the zip file for the OMS side patch and double click it. In the zip archive, we will go to the patch directory, and under that we see this readme.html. We will simply drag and drop this file in the local machine to extract it so that we can open this readme file in a local browser for convenience, so that we can go through the prerequisites and recommendations. You can open this readme file with any browser of your choice. I will use the Edge browser to open this readme file, and there we will go to the prerequisites section first. In the first line, it says that ensure that the Oracle WebLogic administration server that hosts the OMS is up and running. We can check that through the SSH session that we established to the OEM server using Oracle user, and there we can use the emctl status OMS command to see what components are up and running. And there we can see that all the major components of the OEM system are up. That is, the WebTR is up, Oracle Management Server is up, and the JVMD engine is up. Next thing, ensure that the Oracle database which houses the management repository and its listener is up and running. So obviously, if all the components of your OEM system are up, it means your repository database and listeners are also up. In the third place, it says on the repository database, apply the database release update 19.11.0.0.0 patch. So this is extremely important to apply the RDBMS release update on the repository database, before you apply the release update on the OMS. So applying an RDBMS release update on the database is out of the scope in this tutorial. I assume that you already know how to apply the RDBMS release updates or PSUs, and also that you already applied the latest PSU on your repository database. I already applied the latest PSU or the release update of the RDBMS in the repository database. So we'll skip this step number 3. To show you and validate what release update or the PSU has been applied in the repository database, I will simply log in to the database as sysdba using SQL+, and there we see that the version mentioned is 19.19.0.0.0, and this is greater than the recommended version of 19.11, so we are good with that. Point number 4 says apply Enterprise Manager 13c Release 5 Update 3 Patch 33588.912 or its later release updates version patch on all OMSs before applying the patch using Rapid Platform Update. So this Rapid Platform Update is not something that we are using, so we can skip this number 4 step. Step number 5 says on Windows, apply Oracle Repository Creation Utility Patch 330.53642 on all OMSs. As our learning environment is in Linux, so we can skip this step number 5. Step number 6 says ensure that you have OMS Patcher version 13.9.5.13.0 or later for Enterprise Manager 13.5.0.0 release on all OMSs. So we have to validate this. To validate the OMS Patcher version, we will go to the server and then change directory to the middleware home or the OMS home. That is, change directory to U001 app Oracle EM 13.5 middleware home. And under that, there will be a directory called OMS Patcher, and then we'll change directory to that OMS Patcher. And under that, there will be the executable for the OMS Patcher. And we will simply execute this with a parameter called version. And we can see here the OMS Patcher version is 13.9.4.4.0, which is lower than the recommended version. Because we can see here the recommended version is actually 13.9.5.13.0. And also we will add the path to this OMS Patcher utility in the .bash profile of the Oracle user, so that going forward we don't have to change directory or mention the whole path to this OMS Patcher utility while executing this. To do that, we will simply vi the .bash profile of Oracle user under its home directory, and then we will add this path to the OMS Patcher utility to the existing path variable separated by a colon, and then we will save it, and then we will exit the Oracle shell and then log in back. So the bash profile is executed automatically. Let's clear the screen, and this time we can check from which location the OMS Patcher utility is getting executed using the which OMS Patcher, this command. And yes, we can see that now this is taking the correct path. And now we can check the OMS Patcher version without going to the OMS Patcher directory. Now, since the OMS Patcher version installed in our system is lower than the recommended version of 13.9.5.13.0, so we have to download it from the My Oracle support and then upgrade our existing OMS Patcher. The download instructions are actually given below, where we can see that to download, follow the instructions outlined in the My Oracle support note 2809842.1, this support note. So we will copy this note number, then we will go back to the My Oracle support site, and in the search box we will search for this particular note number. And in that note, we can see this how to upgrade Enterprise Manager 13.5 Cloud Control OMS Patcher utility to the latest version. So all the instructions are given below in this solution section. In the point number 1, it is mentioning download patch 19999993 for Enterprise Manager 13.5.0.0 from my Oracle support. So we need to download this patch. Now let me tell you why it is important to upgrade the OMS Patcher utility and apply the release update using the OMS Patcher. It's because the release update has a large number of sub-patches. If you do not have OMS Patcher, you have to apply all those sub-patches using the traditional OPatch utility. And individually applying all those sub-patches is a troublesome and time-consuming activity. So Oracle recommends always apply the release update using OMS Patcher, which does everything for you in one shot. So we will click on this link, the patch 1999993, to download the upgrade patch for the OMS Patcher utility. And in the tab opened in the browser, we will go to the top line, which actually gives us the latest version of the OMS Patcher to download. And we can see this as 13.9.5.13.0. Then you click on this patch name link and then on this download button. And in the next page or the tab open, we can see that this OMS Patcher upgrade patch is applicable for the release Enterprise Manager base platform, and it is for the generic platform. So we don't have to worry about the Unix or the Linux version. So you click on this download button again, and in this window we can see this link to a zip file for the OMS Patcher upgrade patch. And this is the zip file to upgrade the OMS Patcher that I downloaded already and kept along with the other two zip files for the OMS and the agent side RU15 patches. And I mentioned earlier that I am going to talk about this shortly. Now before we continue with the remaining steps in the prerequisites, we will upgrade the OMS Patcher that we just downloaded. To do that, we will go to our server, and in the temp location, we already have the OMS Patcher zip file, which is the top one here. So we will transfer this file to the OMS home. I have listed all the steps here, how to upgrade the OMS Patcher. So first of all, we will change directory to our middleware home, and then we will check the OMS Patcher version. And this is the lower version that we currently have. Then we will copy the file available in the temp location to our middleware home. So just need to put that complete path there. Now let's check if it is there. It is copied. Now we will rename the old OMS Patcher home to something like _old, and then we will unzip the OMS Patcher zip file to a directory named P1999993. So copy this command, and that file has been unzipped to this folder. Next, we will change directory to the one that we just created, and then if you see, there is a directory named OMS Patcher under this P1999993. We just need to move this OMS Patcher directory to the parent directory of this P19993, that is the middleware home. So we will simply move this OMS Patcher to the parent directory. And now let's change directory to the parent directory. We see this new OMS Patcher and the OMS Patcher old, both are there. Now since we already set the path to the OMS Patcher utility or executable in our .bash profile file of the Oracle user, we can directly check now what is the version of the OMS Patcher. So OMS Patcher version, now it should give us the latest version of OMS Patcher. Now we see that it's 13.9.5.13.0, which is the same as the recommended version of the OMS Patcher to apply this release update. Now we can remove all this old file or the directory, this zip file, and also this P1999. It is not needed anymore. So we cleaned up all those things. Now we will go back to our readme.html file to continue with the remaining steps. That is the step number 7 next, which is ensure that you set Oracle Home environment variable to the middleware Oracle Home, which is the middleware home directory. So let me explain this Oracle Home here. When we work with an RDBMS home or a database home, the Oracle Home belongs to the location on which the RDBMS binaries are installed. And when we work with the OEM system, the Oracle Home is actually the middleware home or the OMS home or the OEM home, or we can also say the Oracle Home for the OMS system. These all three variables actually point to the same location, which is nothing but the middleware home. So it is saying that the path variable should actually have the Oracle Home pointing to the middleware home. Now let's check what value is actually taken by the Oracle_home environment variable now using the echo command, echo $Oracle Home. Right now we see that the Oracle Home is taken as the Oracle 13c database home, which is not our intended Oracle Home. So what we have to do, we have to set this using the export command, and we have to set the value as U001 app Oracle EM 13.5 middleware home. This is going to be our actually Oracle Home for our OMS system. Let's check that again, and yes, now this is our intended Oracle Home. Let's go back to the README file. Point number 8, ensure that you set the path environment variable to include the location of the unzip executable, the Oracle Home bin, and the Oracle Home OMS Patcher directories present in the Oracle Home of the OMS. We'll check that out. First, the unzip. Which unzip? It is giving an unzip which belongs to the operating system itself under bin directory, and that is not actually the one that is coming from the Oracle Home. Now also let's check what is the path variable taking. So echo $path, and we'll check whether the middleware home is included in this path variable. And here we see that the middleware home bin directory is there, and also OMS Patcher is there. So as long as your unzip utility is compatible with the zip files coming with the patches, we are good, and we have already tested that the unzip utility was successfully able to unzip the OMS Patcher. So we are good with the utility which is already available at our operating system level. So we can skip that. Now the next step, that is point number 9. To use the OMS Patcher functionality, you must set the WebLogic administration server credential access. To avoid setting the credentials every time, you can update the property file with the necessary information. To do so, refer to creating a property file. So this is another important step where we have to create a property file which will be actually used by the OMS Patcher utility, so that it doesn't ask for the credentials every time it is going to apply a patch included in the patch set update or the release update. So how to create a property file? So we will go back to our steps where I am giving all the recommended commands to create the configuration key and the property files. So we'll go to item number 5 in the Excel document, and we will create a directory under the U001 app Oracle, and the name of the directory will be wl_cfg_key. This is nothing but WebLogic configuration and the key files. So let's clear the screen, and make directory -p will create this directory with the path, and now we'll go to that location. The next thing is to export the middleware home to this mw_home environment variable. Then we will use the create keys.sh, this particular script, to create our key files under the directory we just created. And this script is available under the OMS Patcher directory, and under that the WLS keys directory. So we will simply copy this command. If you see the script, then we are passing a parameter -oh, that is the Oracle home, which is nothing but the middleware home, minus location. To create the property file is under u001 app oracle wl_cfg_key. We will simply copy this line to save time. And before we can paste the command to create the key files, let's go back to the middleware home location. So since directory, we can simply use this environment variable that we already set with the middleware home. And now we can paste the command, and then we will simply press enter, which will first give us the T3S protocol URL, which we are going to use shortly in one of the files. And the next thing it is asking is about the WebLogic admin server username, and this username is also WebLogic, and the password is the same as the sysman user's password, that is the sysman12345. Press enter. It will take a couple of seconds to create the key files, and we can see that the key files have been successfully created. Now the next step is to create the property file pointing to WebLogic encrypted configuration and key files. This item number 6 in the Excel document. So we have to create a property file with the 3 items listed here: the admin server URL in the T3 protocol, the admin config files, and admin key files. As I mentioned earlier, this T3 protocol based URL has been already supplied by the script that we just ran. Now we will follow the remaining steps to create the property file. That is, we are creating a property file under u001 app oracle wl_cfg_key, and the name of the file will be wls_property.pty. So you can give any name to this property file. I am giving this name so that we can easily understand what it refers to. So I'll copy this vi command and paste it, and then we will copy these 3 lines there: the admin server URL, the admin config file, and the admin key files. This first line was supplied by the script itself. The config file and the key files were just created. So we will copy these lines and paste in the property file. Save it, and we will simply cat this file to validate one more time, where we see that the T3 URL already supplied by the script in the previous step, and the configuration file, that is this part, and also the key files, which is also here. So we just validated everything is correct in our property file. So this T3 protocol is the one that is used to transfer information between the WebLogic server and other Java programs. Now we will go to the next step in our Excel document. That is the item number 7. Transfer the OMS release update to the temp location and extract it under the OMS home or the middleware home. To do that, we can go to the temp location and then unzip this file. So what I am using here is the unzip command that is going to unzip this zip file, that is the release update for the OMS -d, which is specifying the directory under the middleware home, and the directory will be P35262.1.40, which is nothing but the name of the patch itself. So I will first go back to our SSH session, clear the screen, change directory to the temp file system where we have our patch file, that is the P35262.1.40. I'll simply paste this command here and I will press enter to unzip the file. This is a 1.1 gigs zip file, which is going to take about a few seconds, maybe 20 to 25 seconds to unzip the entire zip archive based on the performance of your server, and this is done. Now let's go to the next step, that is the item number 8. Here we have to analyze the patch applicability and if there is any conflicts. Now we will go to the directory under middleware home that we just created in the previous command, that is the P35262.1.40, and under that there is another subdirectory which was created by the unzip command itself, that is the 35262.1.0. First let's go to the parent directory. Let's clear the screen, do an ls-lrt, and we see that this subdirectory is there. We'll change directory to that to analyze the patch applicability. First we will make sure that the Oracle home is the middleware home, echo $Oracle home, and it is pointing to the middleware home. Then we don't have to export this because it's already set in the Oracle home. And OMS Patcher apply minus analyze minus property file that we just created. We will copy this whole command and paste it and run it. So it will analyze the applicability of the release update, and it will ask for the database username and password, which is going to be our sys user. We will put, and the sys user's password is OEM repo, and it completed the check for the database version which is supported, which we can see here. And the next prerequisite check, that is the check components for patch 35122.472, which is a sub patch included in the release update, was also passed. And the second one, that is the 34601.404, is also passed. And that way it is going to give us the status of each of the checks for all the patches included under this patch set update or the release update. And the third one is also passed. The fourth one is passed. The fifth one is also passed. And similarly, the sixth one is also passed, and the configuration validation was successful. And then it is checking for the running apply prerequisite checks for all these other subpatches. This analyze step takes a couple of minutes based on the performance of your server and the size of the release update. Usually it takes not more than 10 minutes. And we see that the subpatches in this list have also been successfully analyzed. And here we see that the analyze phase has been successfully completed, and it's giving us a complete summary of the activities it has completed, where it is giving the location of the log files and the prerequisites analysis summary, and the subpatches which are applicable are given in this list, and the subpatches which are not applicable to the OMS system for different reasons, like it has been already applied or it is not compatible, it is giving here in the second list. And all we wanted to see here is the OMS Patcher succeeded, this last line here. If the OMS Patcher analysis phase is successfully completed, then you are most likely to be able to complete your actual application process of the release update successfully. Let's go back to our Excel document, and here we have completed all our prerequisite checks. Now it is time for the actual implementation phase. The first step is to make sure that the backup of the repository database has been successfully taken. It can be a ARM and full backup and also the archive log backups of your repository database. The second step is to verify the successful file system level backup of middleware home. This is not compulsory, but to take it as a second step in the protection layer, we can make sure that the middleware home has been successfully backed up. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the middleware home, the OEM home, OMS home, or the Oracle home for the OMS, these all are pointing to the same location, which is nothing but the middleware home. Now, in the third step, check the sysman password. Now, in our test OEM system, we have put a very simple password for the sysman user, that is the sysman 12345, but in an actual environment, you may have a much complex password for the sysman. But whatever may be the complexity, make sure that your sysman user password has special characters, not other than this, the dollar symbol, the hash symbol, and the underscore symbol. If you have any other special characters in the sysman user's password, then you may encounter some issues while the release update is applied. So I have encountered this issue many times, and it took me some time to figure out what is the problem, and I found out that it is because of the other special characters that creates a problem while the sysman user logs in internally to the OMS system. The step number 4, notify the stakeholders about the monitoring downtime. This is as per your organization standard that you have to notify your stakeholders about the monitoring is down during the release update is going on, and that can be done using an email notification. Step number 5, disable any external checks for the OMS up and down status. So our OEM system is the monitoring system for the entire database environment. But what if the OMS itself is down? So many organizations used to keep another check to find out whether the OMS system is up or down. You may not have it in your organization, but if you have it, you have to disable that. The next step is the issue an OEM blackout. So we have to do this blackout using the OEM system itself. So when your release update is in progress, you don't get any notification or alerts about some components being down. So to do that, we will go back to our OEM console and then go to the enterprise menu, under that monitoring, and under that blackouts. Here we have to create a blackout by clicking on this create button. Let the first option be selected by default. Click on the create button here, and we will put a name like blackout OEM. You can put a comment here if you want, and you can select a reason here which best matches your situation. That is the enterprise manager, OMS server, patch, maintenance, and run jobs during the blackout. This option we need to check in. It is fine. If there is any internal jobs, it will continue to run. And if there is any job that is not supposed to run during the RU application, then the RU application process will take care of that. And also we will check this in, that is enable full blackout on all hosts, including in the blackout. Then we need to add the targets, and that target is nothing but our OEM system itself. And here, instead of selecting all target types, we will unselect it, and from this list we will select the OMS and repository, this option here. And then we have only this one option or target, that is the management servers. Select it, and we don't have to select anything under this related target includes in blackout under this section. Then go to the schedule section, and there this is going to start immediately. This option should be on, and it's not going to repeat, that is do not repeat. And the duration we will put indefinitely because we still don't know how long it's going to take. So once our RU application is successfully completed, we will manually stop the blackout, and then we will click on this submit button to start the blackout. Next, step number 7, that is export the OMS configuration. So this is a precautionary step to export the OMS configuration in case of rolling back or something goes extremely wrong where we have to roll back everything, then this configuration that we exported can be imported back. So we'll use the emctl export config OMS, this particular command, to export the configuration. So we will go back to our SSH session and paste this emctl export config OMS command there, which is going to take a couple of minutes. And it will first ask for the sysman password, that is sysman12345, and it will give us the directory where the backup is kept, and the export config has been successfully completed, and we can see this last line here. Now let's go back to our Excel document for the next step, which is create a guaranteed restore point or GRP on the database. Now this is also very important to save some time in case you need to roll back your release update application due to certain errors which we don't know yet. And if you need to roll back the database changes, then instead of restoring a backup, it is really very time saving and easier to go back to a guaranteed restore point that you created just before starting off the RU application. In our case, we don't have to, or we cannot create a guaranteed restore point because our database is not in archive log mode. But instead of creating a guaranteed restore point in our virtual environment, we can always create a snapshot, which I have already taken, and we can restore that snapshot of the virtual machine in case something goes wrong and we want to revert back everything back to its original state. But if you want to create a guaranteed restore point, this is the command here, that is the create restore point grp underscore before underscore ru15 guarantee flashback database. Using this command, we can create a guaranteed restore point. Now the next step, step number 9, that is the apply latest release update patch on the OEM. Now these are the actual steps here which will actually apply the release update. First of all, we have to stop the OMS. So I'll copy the emctl stop OMS command from the Excel, paste it in the SSH session, emctl stop OMS, which is going to take 1 or 2 minutes to stop the OMS. Please note that emctl stop OMS will not stop all the components of our OMS. Certain components which needs to be up during the release update application process will be kept in the up status. It will bring down only the ones which are required to be down. Now you can see that the emctl stop OMS command has been successfully completed. Please note that this item number 9, where we are actually applying the patch, these all steps are given in the readme.html file. If you go back to the file, you'll be able to see that these are the steps given: the stop OMS, then navigate to the patch stop directory, then the OMS patcher, apply, then start the OMS and sync the OMS. These steps, and along with some additional precautionary steps, I am putting there in the Excel document that I prepared for you. But if there is any additional step given in the readme.html file, then you have to incorporate that into your actual implementation plan. At this point, there is nothing additional, so we will go back to our Excel document and we'll change directory to the patch directory. We'll simply copy this line and go back to our SSH session, and we see that we are already in that location, and this P352624140 is called the patch stop directory, and under that, this is the actual patch directory. And then we will install the RU by running the command, that is OMS Patcher, apply property file, and here we are mentioning the property file here. The only difference between the previous command that we used to analyze the release update here is, instead of analyze, we are putting the apply command here. So OMS Patcher, apply minus property file, then the property file location. So we will copy this, go back to our SSH session, paste it and press enter, and it will first ask for the database user, which is going to be our sys user, and the password, and we will supply the sys username here and the password, that is OEM repo in our case. Please note that the apply step will again check the prerequisites, like whether the subpatches included in the RU are applicable or if there is any conflict. And once all these prerequisite checks are passed and the configuration validation shows as success, it will give you a list of sub-patches which are actually passed and the sub-patches which are not compatible or not going to be applied. And after that, it will again ask for a confirmation to proceed. Based on the performance of your server, this application process may take anything between 1 to 3 hours. And as expected, it's asking for a final confirmation after validating all the sub-patches. Whether I want to proceed, we will press Y here and press enter. Again, based on the performance of your server, these remaining steps after you press Y may take an hour to 3 hours. And I will pause the video and I will come back when the final status of the RU application appears in the screen. Okay, so after around 2.5 hours, the RU application has been successfully completed and we can see the final message at the end, OMS Patcher succeeded. Now let's go back to our implementation plan. The next step is to log in using EMCLI, that is the Enterprise Manager command line interface using sysman user, and sync the repository with the external configuration. So we will simply copy this command, EMCLI login minus username equals to sysman, and we'll simply paste it there. It will ask for the password for the sysman user, which is sysman12345. And the login successful. Next, EMCLI sync. And the synchronization successfully completed. Let's go back to the implementation plan. And next step, that is the step number 10, is to start the OMS. So we'll copy this command, EMCTL start OMS, paste it here and execute, which is going to take around 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, and we can see that all the individual components are either already started or has been brought up. Now let's go back to our implementation plan for the next step, that is enable any external checks for OMS up down status. Again, if you have any external checks for the OMS up or down status, you have to enable that at this point. Then we have to stop the OEM blackout that we issued before we start the RU application process. To do that, we will go back to our OEM console using sysman user, and I just logged in and we can see that most of the targets are under maintenance and they are marked with this gray color. So we will go to the enterprise menu, under that monitoring, and under that blackouts. And we will list out all the blackouts with their names first. Select this blackout name option, and this will give us which blackout is currently active. And we can see that the blackout we started with the name blackout-OEM before the RU application process is still in the started status. It means it is still active. So we will select the line and then we will click on this stop button, which will stop the blackout. It will ask for a confirmation. We'll click on the yes button and we will go back to the summary page again. It might take a couple of seconds to refresh the latest status of the OMS. Let's refresh it. And first, it switched to the unknown status from the maintenance status. Let's refresh it again. And it is continuously changing. Some of the components are up, some are down, and some are still in unknown status. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Let's refresh it again. And yes, now we can see that most of the components are in a green status. Only a few remains as unknown, but we are okay with that. They will be brought into the up status or the appropriate status momentarily. Now we will validate whether our release update status has been successfully updated in the OEM console or not. To do that, we will click on the sysmain menu item, and under that we will go to this second last option, that is the About Enterprise Manager. And now we can see that the top line, which is saying Enterprise Manager Cloud Control 13c Release 5 Update 15, is the current update status now. So Release Update 15 has been successfully applied in the OMS. Next, we will apply the same release update on the agent. Let's close it. So to start applying the release update on the agent, we will go back to the location where we downloaded our agent patch as well as the OMS patch and other related patches, and we have to read the readme file for the agent patch. And in that location, we already have the readme.html file that belongs to the OMS patch. So we will first rename this file so it doesn't overwrite the existing file, or we'll put like a readme_OMS. Now this patch 35262133 is the one that belongs to the agent. So we will first double click and open this zip archive, then go to the patch directory under that, and from there we will extract the readme.html file and we'll just place it in our local machine. So this readme file now we are going to open and go through the steps. Open with, say we will use the Microsoft Edge, and here we can see there are a lot of options to apply the release update, and it also has the prerequisites. The first one is apply Enterprise Manager 13c Release 5 Update 15 patch or its later release update version patch on the OMS before you apply this RU. That is, before we apply this RU on the agent, the RU must be applied on the OMS first, which we just completed successfully. Second one is the deinstall this RU before deinstalling Enterprise Manager 13c Release 5 Update 15 patch on the OMS, and this is not required for us at this point because we are not deinstalling anything. Now the first option to apply the management agent release update is through the OEM itself, and there is an option called patching and provisioning which requires a separate license from Oracle, and without that license this particular option is not enabled, so you cannot apply the patch from the OEM console. Rather, we have to go to the next option, that is manual applying and deinstalling the management agent release update. So this deinstalling option is not relevant at this time because we are not deinstalling anything. So we are going to go through the prerequisites of the manual application of the RU on the agent. So the prerequisites which are listed here, the first one, ensure that you have the agent patcher version 13.9540 or later for the Enterprise Manager 13.5.0.0 release. Now we have to first check which agent patcher is currently installed. To check that, we will go back to our SSH session that we established to the OMS home, and we will go to the agent home directory. To find out what is the agent home, we will use the command psef grep em agent, and we see the agent process is running from this particular location, U001 app Oracle agent 13c agent 135000. So this is the agent home, and we will change directory to that location, then do an lslrt, and we see that there is no directory with the name agent patch. Instead, we have the opatch directory there, which is the traditional way of applying patches. So it is quite common if you are applying the patch on the agent home for the first time, you may not have the agent patch utility. The agent patcher itself is not present. So we have to first download it and bring it to this agent home first. To do that, let's first check which particular patch it is recommending. And it is saying that to download the agent patch utility, we need to find this particular support node. So we will copy this node number and go to the My Oracle support site, and we will search for this in the search box. Now in the top line, we can see how to upgrade Agent Patcher to the latest version. This particular link is there. We will click on that, and there in the solution section we can see that download patch 333555570 is the one that we need to download. Click on that link first. It will open another tab, and in this tab it will automatically take us to the download link with the patch name, and we will click on this patch number again, and we can see that the platform is generic platform, so we don't have to worry about what version of Unix or what flavor of Unix we are actually downloading this patch for. So we will simply click on the download button here. It will open another dialog box showing the link to download the zip file. We will click on that link again, and even if it says this page is not working, don't worry about that, and the browser will be actually downloading this patch in the background, and we can see that it's a very small one of size 821 KB, and it's already done. So I have downloaded the Agent Patcher utility to a local folder, and now we have to upload it or FTP it to the OMS server using something like a FileZilla. So this is the patch of around 842 KB, and we will simply move it to the temp location of the OMS server, which is done. And the application of this particular patch or installation of the Agent Patch utility is the same activity, and it's very simple. All we need to do is to extract it under the Agent Home, and the name of the extraction folder must be Agent Patcher. So what we are going to do, we will go back to our SSH session, and from the temp location we will copy this particular patch file, that is we just uploaded, cp to the Agent Home location, which is the U001 app Oracle Agent 13c Agent 135000, this particular folder or the directory, that is the Agent Home. Now let's go back to the Agent Home location, and here we have to now extract it to a folder first. So we will use unzip the zip file -d for the directory, and we will first extract it to a directory named P333555570, which is done. And as we don't have any directory here with the name Agent Patcher, so we can simply move the directory which is inside this P333555570 directory with the name Agent Patcher to its parent directory. So we will move this directory to its parent directory. Let's go back to the Agent Home, which is actually the parent directory, and here we see now the Agent Patcher directory is available. Let's go inside this directory, and there should be the Agent Patcher utility available for us. So we will simply run this with the parameter version. Oops, I did a mistake here because I did not set the Oracle Home environment variable to the Agent Home. That's why it is throwing this error. So first of all, we have to export Oracle Home, this particular environment variable, with the value of the Agent Home, which is up to this part, U001 app Oracle Agent 13c Agent _ 13500. And now we'll execute the same command again, /agent patcher version. This will take a couple of seconds, and yes, now we can see that the Agent Patcher version is 139,540, which is actually equal or more than the recommended version to apply this release update on the Agent Home. Now go back to the Oracle Home and remove the unneeded files, that is this zip file and also this directory. We have to put an RF option there. And now we will move the agent release update under this agent home, which was previously available under the temp file location. So lslrt/temp/star.zip should give us the list of all the files or the zip files available in the temp location, and out of those we see that our agent release update is this particular file, that is the P35262133, as I have already mentioned that before. So we will copy this agent patch file to the agent home directory, which is now available, and now we will unzip this file to a directory with the name P35262133, which will take a couple of seconds, and this is done, and the patch has been unzipped to this particular directory. So we can remove this zip file now. Now to apply the release update 15 on the agent home, it's very simple. Again, we will open the readme file and go through the prerequisites. As we have already updated the agent patcher utility, the next step is to apply the Enterprise Manager 13c Release 5 Update 15 patch or its later release update version patch on the OMS before applying this RU, which has been already completed. Next, step number 3, deinstall the RU before deinstalling the Enterprise Manager 13c Release 5 Update 15 patch, the same patch number on the OMS. As we are not deinstalling, we can skip this step. Then the next step, ensure that the Oracle Management Agent on which you are installing the RU or from which you are rolling back the RU is Oracle Management Agent 13c Release 5. And we are already aware that we are applying our release update on the agent which is of this version, so we don't have to worry about that. The next step, ensure that you set the Oracle Home environment variable to the Management Agent core home, that is ending with this particular agent underscore 135000, which we already set, so we don't have to worry about that. Ensure that you set the path environment variable to include the location of the unzip executable and the Oracle Home bin and the Oracle Home Agent Patcher directories present in the Oracle Home of the Management Agent. So this is something that we have not already set. So what we have to do, we have to include these two paths in our Oracle users.bash profile file so that we don't have to specify the paths for these utilities repeatedly. So first we will go to our SSH session. We'll do a vi reference home directory with this character /.bash profile, and at the end we will simply add the path for the Oracle Home for the agent, and then we will add the bin directory under that. And also we have to include the path to the agent patcher utility, which will be again U001 app Oracle agent 13c agent 13.5.0.0, and under that it's agent patcher. Now we will save this file, and also we have to execute this file using the dot space, then the path to this file which has been executed. Now if we use the command which agent patcher, this should correctly give us the location. Yes. Now let's go back to the readme file for the next step. I have ignored this particular recommendation to put the path of the unzip executable because we already successfully unzipped the patches with the unzip utility that belongs to the operating system. So we don't have to do that here. But if you want, you can still use the unzip utility that is there inside the agent home or the OMS home. Now step number 7, maintain a location for storing the content of the RU zip file. So here we have to unzip the agent RU first. We'll go back to our SSH session, and we already have this particular folder where we have unzipped the agent RU, and then we will change directory to that particular location where we have unzipped the agent RU and use the agent patcher apply analyze command. I will change directory to the parent directory where we extracted the release update zip file. Under that, we see another directory with the name with the patch number. Change directory to that particular directory, and here we have all the patches that we need for the agent. And before we can analyze the applicability of this patch on the agent, we have to again make sure that the Oracle home environment variable is pointing to the agent home, which is the U001 app Oracle agent 13c agent underscore 13.5.0.0. Press enter. Now we can use the command agent patcher apply minus analyze from this particular location to see the applicability of the release update 15 on this agent. Press enter, and it will take a couple of seconds, and it will validate each and every sub patches included in this release update for their applicability on the agent one by one. And we can see that the prereq check components for the patch, these all are passed. We'll just wait for the entire list to be completed, and it gives us the result that running apply prerequisite check for the sub patches in this list have been completed. And it's okay if some of the sub patches are not applicable, and it will accordingly let us know in its output which of the patches it is not going to apply. And as expected, it gives us the list of patches saying the following patches could not be applied during OPATS execution. And the reason is also given. For example, this first one, the plugin or core component Oracle Sysman AM agent plugin with version 13.5.1.0.0, for which the patch is intended, is not deployed in your enterprise manager system. So these patches are not relevant, so it is skipping them. And at the end, it says that the agent patcher succeeded. This is all we want. And now we are ready to actually apply this release update 15 on the agent. To actually apply the release update on the agent, we will again go back to the README file for the next steps. And there, we have just completed this agent patcher apply minus analyze command. The next step is mentioning about the rolling back of the patches, which is not relevant for us because we are not rolling back anything. And the last step is the EMCTL stop agent before actually applying our release update 15 on the agent. So we will copy this command and go back to the agent home bin directory, and then we will apply the EMCTL command under the bin directory here. I am putting the /emctl here to make sure that the EMCTL that belongs to the agent home bin directory is actually executed, and not the EMCTL that belongs to the OMS, which is under middleware home bin directory. So we will stop the agent, and if you want, you can also issue a blackout again to make sure that no notifications are or no alerts are sent during the agent being down. And the next step is to actually apply the management agent release update. So we will again go to the patch directory, and then using the agent patcher apply command, we will apply the release update. Let's go back to our SSH session, and then we will again go to the patch directory, and then we will use the command agent patcher apply and press enter. This will not take a long time like the release update application took in case of the OMS, and most of the time it is finished within 10 minutes. Please note that although I am following the README file that belongs to the release update on the agent, I have documented all these steps in the Excel document that I am sharing through my Google Drive, where in a separate tab I am mentioning all the steps that I am following to apply the release update on the agent. So that shared document has all the steps that is required to apply the release update on the OMS and the agents. Now it is asking for a confirmation to proceed. We will press Y here and press enter. And the release update application procedure has been just completed, and we can see what sub-patches are applied and what were skipped. And at the end we see this message, Agent Patcher succeeded. This is the most important message. And now we can say that the release update 15 has been successfully applied on the agent also. Now we have to bring up the agent again. Let's go back to the bin directory and we'll use the emctl start agent command, and the agent has been started. Let's see the status again by using the command emctl status agent. Now we can see the full status of the agent, which is currently up now after the release update has been applied. And now we will go back to our OEM console, and then we will go to this setup menu, and under that manage cloud control, this menu, and under that we will go to the agents. And we have just applied the release update on this particular agent that belongs to the OMS host itself, that is the adminserver.oraexpert.org. And if we go to the last column in this table, which gives us the RU version, there we can see the RU version for this agent has been updated with 13.5.0.15. So this is the release update that we just applied. So viewers, we have successfully applied the release update on the OMS as well as on the agent that belongs to the OMS host, and the procedure that was followed to apply the release update on this particular agent can be used to apply the release update on all the remaining agents. So in our test environment, we have only one more remaining agent to apply this release update, and you can do that using the same procedure that we just followed in this particular agent also. And I am leaving that up to you to complete it as an exercise. Again, whatever steps I followed while applying the release update on the OMS and the agent, all those steps I have documented in the Excel document in two different sheets, and you'll be able to access that document through my Google Drive and use it while applying the release update on your environment. Please note that RUs in OEM are cumulative, and for a particular release of the OEM, it includes all the previous RUs for that release. So even if you miss to apply one RU, you will compensate that by applying the next or the higher RUs for that release. It is very important to apply the RUs periodically, as that will keep your OEM system in good health and secure. And with this, I am concluding today's tutorial. So viewers, please provide your feedback in the comment section of the video and hit the like button if you found it useful. That will mean a lot to me and help grow this channel.